Hello, and welcome to Network 99, the place for artistic exploration, creative expression, and our abstract thought. Today, on the show, this episode, we have a surreal landscape drawing that, as you can see, I have spent about 5 minutes before rolling on a intuitive sketch. Now I'm working my way through that which I created with some color. The goal at this point is really to have fun with it, first and foremost, and to maximize the level of fun that we could potentially experience during this artistic exploration. It's important to, at once, pay attention to what's happening on the page before you, but also be loose, be free. Let it flow. Let it flow similarly to how it did in the intuitive sketch. Here I have a plastic circle, which I recommend that you save things that are useful to your drawings, like this plastic circle. Of course, you can just buy a stencil too. That's cool. But I like to recycle. This one happened to come from some plumber's tape that I had after some repairs, plumbing repairs. On this drawing, when I was bringing color to it, I felt a strong urge to use warm colors once that circle jumped out. And I suppose I had feelings of a star or the sun as I was giving it life in such a way, but really it's just being free and going with the flow of the drawing. You may notice also that I'm moving from color to color in this drawing, and a reason for that is as you go, one color will inform the next. And in this way, a relationship begins to build that defines the space that you're creating. So it seems pretty intuitive to me as I went that orange and yellow and gold, red, brown, all of these sort of warm colors work in harmony together. And in the way you're seeing it here, it definitely is giving feelings of a sun, or at least some kind of dimensional situation. What else? I don't know. Tell me what you think. What does it look like to you? Leave a comment. When you're moving from color to color, you'll find that also you want to spend different amounts of time depending upon how that color is performing on the page. And I say that because you have noticed that many of those earlier colors in the work were fast and loose and kind of going with the energy of that free-spirited, intuitive beginning sketch. And now this tan type color was really appealing to me as I was laying it down. And I was a little more deliberate, perhaps. Same to be said with this brown, this dark brown. You're seeing it, of course, in a fast forward speed. But like in this moment here, I slowed down the footage to show you that there is a joy and a satisfaction to also working deliberately and with a little less pace. Slowing it down can also give you time to reconnect with the composition itself. And I like to do that as well. I'm making sure, especially now that I'm transitioning here to green and attempting to pull a little bit of, or not pull, but put some coolness into the drawing. And the idea behind that is there needs to be what I like to say a harmony or a balance within the composition. And that will give you the chance to also push the perspective a bit. Here, as you see gray coming into the picture, gray is fun because it can be very much a focal point of your drawing, because gray can be shaded very easily, or like I just mentioned, you can use it simply to shade. And now a darker green is also giving some shadow work and giving some depth to these otherwise really blasted, you see with sort of the blasted warm colors coming in, dominating the composition. After I had worked around with a little bit of the coolness of the green, I decided that it was time here to come back and use this simple yellow color to flesh out a little more of that upper half of the drawing. I find that when I work around quickly and with small movements, it's sometimes fun to, again, that word fun, the joy needs to be present in order for me to continue on these often. But I find that it is fun and it does bring me joy to make longer strokes across the page. I don't know. It's just fun, I guess. And you'll see kids doing that a lot too, who are learning to draw. They use the whole page and they're not as controlled and deliberate with a lot of their marks and their line work, because there is an enthusiasm to the line itself and to the act of making the line, making the mark, seeing the color appear before you. And when you're in control of that, it can be a really joyful experience. Which is why I'm really happy that you pushed play today and chose Network 99, whether it's because you enjoy seeing a picture come together, whether you may find some of my tips useful to your own work, or if this is your first time and you're new to the channel, and still figuring out what's happening here, welcome. Welcome to the party, I suppose, because that's what we're all doing. Every picture that I set out on, every single picture is a new experience and a new chance to express my creativity, to create something from nothing, and to share it in the sense of these videos. So again, sincerely thank you for joining me and for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. My goal with the channel is to keep these sketch-like drawings coming. That is priority number one. But the bigger overarching goals are going to be primarily to broaden the type of work that I can bring to you. So, for example, I have a lot of easel work to do and a lot of canvases stacking up and a lot of ideas ready to go for some paintings. And I would love to be able to bring some of that work to you on the channel, whether you yourself are interested in painting and want to give it a try, or you like to watch, again, something come from nothing like I do. I'm sort of both, and I hope that maybe you're both too. Maybe you like to paint, maybe you like to draw. And as someone who has a creative, inquisitive mind, maybe you like to see other things coming to life. Isn't that basically why we go to the movies? Why we pick up a book and read a book, or whatever the case may be. I've recently rediscovered old cartoons, and I've been watching a lot of old Looney Tunes and things like Popeye, Woody Woodpecker, the Hanna-Barbera animations, all the Warner Brothers stuff essentially, and it's really wonderful because it's not only been a great background for the work that I'm able to do here on the channel, but it's extremely, extremely, extremely inspirational to me because there is a inherent and ever-present joy and, I suppose, beauty to all of that early animation work that is a foundation to everything today, of course, but also a great influence on my own work. And I'm realizing this too, also, by the way. A lot of what I create has similarities, at least, to especially those Warner Brother palettes on a lot of those cartoons. Rich, warm colors, big colors, but also line work. A lot of my line work has organic, flowing, sort of not necessarily perfectly linear or real life, quote unquote. And so I suppose that's all well and good. Maybe you like cartoons too, but I'm also, my interest, that is, has been rekindled to pursue some animation work of my own. And my hope is that some of this work can shift and evolve to the point of creating unique animations, cartoons. I've a bunch of ideas sort of percolating on the back burner right now regarding where that will take me. And I really hope you will be there to check it out. Again, please like and subscribe to Network 99, and I'll keep you posted on those projects. Getting back to talking a little more about this drawing, as you see, this tan color I'm using here. Now, the fun thing about this type of marker, as you'll see, if you can notice how the blending is occurring, wherever this tan goes, it's picking up some of what it's contacting on the page and moving similar to how paint moves. So that's pretty cool in practice. There you can see how some of that blue from that bottom now is being transferred to this horizon line, and it's giving the effect of buildings or shapes in the distance, the distant distance. But again, the other side of that is that that marker will then, I guess, it'll be used up faster is the best way to put it. And it'll start to collect those other colors, and then you'll have to use it in open white space to get rid of a little bit of that and thus lose a little of its own. Here is black, and in this entire drawing, I have not used, until this point, any black since that opening, real free-spirited, intuitive sketch. And the reason for that is black can, in a drawing of this nature that is with lots of color, black will cover everything up. It'll take away rather than add, in my opinion. So I use it sparingly. I'm finding places throughout the page that aren't quite dark enough, that need to be pushed just a little more. I'm also finding areas that the black can be useful in line work type style. And the goal, of course, with the black, besides keeping it spare, is really to keep moving. Don't linger in one area if you're going to use black in such a way. Here's a dark gray that will also work similarly how the black just did. I'm finding the remaining white space on the page and taking it away, but also extending some shadows here and there, or what could be conceived as shadows or dark spaces. That is, what you see in this drawing is your own understanding or your own perception of my own subconscious outpouring. And thus, if you instead see something other than buildings or green space or a star-like form, let me know. Tell me what you think. Drop a comment and ask a question. I'd be happy to talk to you about this drawing. I'm really interested to hear what people think, how it makes them feel. Now we're going to take a plunge into the unknown. We're going to take this bright pink and we're going to go for it here. I thought of maybe leaving that space white. I also thought of going real dark with it. And then my next thought was to use a cooler color, maybe a blue or a green, but ultimately I felt like a pink, since I have a lot of shades of pink. As we'll see in a moment, we will go into other forms of pink to make, here we go, to make this central area of the picture really pop. And this is, of course, just the way I chose to go, but it could have been any sort of direction at the end of the day. What do you think? Do you think the pink works here, or what else could have worked? Maybe black might have worked there. I don't know. Maybe just a straight black space in the middle could have had a really interesting effect. It would have definitely juxtaposed with all of the color around it. We're zooming in here now, and when one is able to slow down and really look at what's happening on this watercolor paper with these brush tip markers, it's fun. It can be really neat to see what is exactly happening at such a close perspective. It's funny, as I was making this and now watching it back, I'm realizing that it definitely has a very much organic, sort of like a cell on a petri dish or some kind of molecule. It has that kind of vibe going for it. And I think that notion runs through a lot of my surreal and semi-abstract work, is these impressions or vibrations of the molecular or the organic. And I think that that's interesting, but I don't know what it means yet. That is about all the time we have for this episode. And I want to thank you again for joining me here on Network 99. Hope to see you in the next one. Be kind, be creative, and bring the joy.